Good morning, welcome, marhaba to everyone who's watching this session today. I wish you all a very, very warm welcome on the product management session. This is going to be a very brief, to the point, half an hour session where we will explore key concepts and ideas and trends that have market resonance and are impacting organizations. I would like to first thank the TDRA Virtual Academy for inviting me for this program yet again, and it's my pleasure and my privilege to be presenting to all of you. I do hope that by the end of this program, you will have some vital takeaways that you can start implementing at your workplace or at least start thinking about them. Before I start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Smita Gaurav. I've been in this industry for about 18 years and I have been a consultant to very many government, non government, and semi government organizations. Once again, it's my privilege to be here. Before we start the session, I have only one request of you, which is to please keep the comment section respectful. And with that, we will start exploring the table of contents or the topics that we are going to be covering today. So, of course, we are going to be covering the brief overview of what product management is, why is it so important, and what is the role of the product manager. We will also discuss how nuanced the product role of the product manager gets and how it is different in every situation. We will discuss concepts of the product market fit and the product life cycle. In that respect, we will also be covering the three horizons of innovation with respect to PLC or the product lifecycle, and we will talk about the lean product development. We will make some demarcations between Scrum Agile, or Agile Scrum as we understand it, between Lean and Scrum, and that will be the end of the session. I hope that some of these topics you will be able to map to your workplaces and to find some resonance in what we are exploring today. Let us now start with the program. When we talk about product management actually came about first in 1961 with Procter and Gamble adopting it. Thereafter we had Hewlett Packard which went on with Kaizen, and then we have the Agile Manifesto which has brought about Airbnb, Google, Facebook. Many such organizations are also now climbing onto the bandwagon of product management as a discipline. And what is product management really? So, product management is the process where we start to build a process, a service, or a product that has a high degree of value and that will convert to revenue in the short term and the long run. It is also a highly customer centric field, which is always focused upon the customer needs and requirements, which makes it very, very dynamic. It has multiple teams working on it, therefore, there's a cross functional element to it as well. When we understand product management, there's also a huge definition that has a lot of breadth where it is stated to be covering product development, forecasting, testing, planning, verification. So the gamut of tasks under this discipline is actually quite vast, and it'll take more than just a brief session to cover it all. However, in this program, we hope to cover the basic salient points of it so that you have an understanding of it. When we talk about product management, we also understand that a lot of organizations are now adopting it. And why is that so? What is the resonance of product management? Why is it now being considered increasingly critical? It is because of the fact that product management actually has the three elements of usability, viability, and feasibility. What are usable, viable, feasible products? When we talk about usable, viable products, we talk about solutions that work within very many constraints, so they are viable. We talk about capabilities, staff, engineering, etc., permitting or allowing that product to take place, so it is within the capacity that makes it feasible. And then the user can actually adopt it and figure it out easily. So the figured outable quotient is quite high. And that is why these three things are critical to product management as a discipline. Let's all understand it in a little more depth that the product management has the three elements of business, technicals or technology, and the UX or the user design. And these three are the intersection points that actually create a fantastic product, which is a real product in the market with a real value. For the cross functionality to function well, we need the product manager. The product manager actually sees the cross function and manages the intersectionality of all of these functions. This is a very brief understanding, and this looks very simple, but in fact, the task is a much more broad based one with a gamut of work and tasks underneath. The product manager essentially has to don multiple hats to be able to make the cohesion an effective cohesion so that the customer focus is maintained and the internal stakeholders always have a high amount of say about what is going to take place. The product manager's function is to ensure that all of these cross functions function with each other like a well oiled wheel. So, this broad, multifaceted role that we have also has to interface with very many other segments. And the product manager's role over here becomes to borrow a lens from each of them and to amalgamate them into a cohesive idea that fulfills or adheres to a unifying vision or goal or a business model canvas as we understand it. So the product manager has to basically shuttle between these different functions to be able to ensure that the right processes are being followed at every level or at every task or every stage of the business development plan or the business development stages that we will then later on discover. The product manager also has to interface with various departments like executives, design, engineering, sales and marketing, and operations. In this intersection or the exchange, there are critical communications and exchanges of handoffs that take place. And this is what makes the PM role a very, very diverse role. Of course, it is also situational. The PM role changes from organization to organization, from customer to customer, from internal to external, and sometimes from the industry type to the other industry type. The product manager basically starts with a vision, the development of a vision, which is not just a Gantt chart or schedules or anything, but it actually a strategic vision as to how the product will be developed. Then we gain a customer understanding of it and go into the strategic development aspect of it. And then the marketing, sales, and metrics and tracking. This again is a very, very brief overview of the role of the product manager. The core skills required for the product manager are actually quite diverse, but they can be clubbed up into these four segments of communication, organization, execution, and research. Essentially, like we said before, the product manager is a jack of all trades, a person who's donning multiple hats to get the task done. But this may or may not always be the case. Like we said before, we have a more nuanced understanding of the product manager. Very, very briefly put, and to cover it in a nutshell, the product manager role can be different from situation to situation. So, if the product manager, for instance, is interacting more with the B2B or the B2C, his tasks and functions will change. In the B2C, it will more be A/B testing and data usage mining, whereas in the B2B, it will more be customer sales, etc. If he's interacting more with the internal teams, it will be more of customer service management, etc. And that changes when they are interacting with external customers. Industry types will also govern what tasks the product manager is taking. Sometimes it could be optimizing an engagement and revenue, like in the case of gaming industry, or it could be designing a new product. The product manager's role is also critical as to find out where the product is in the product life cycle. We will discuss the product life cycle a little more in depth in the later slides. Suffice it to say right now, the product manager has to understand whether the product is mature or not and when to pivot in the business model or when to make the critical shift in the business model. The product manager also decides his function basis whether he's a part of a larger organization or a smaller one, whether the team structure is a larger one or a smaller one. In very many organizations, they are actually aided and abetted by complementary roles. So, for instance, if an organization is high on strategics, the strategic planners and will be a team by themselves which can aid and abet the role of the product manager. If the organization is a UX UI organization, then they will have a larger manpower allocated to that department. So, obviously, every industry type is different, and the industry specifications will decide what kind of manpower they have that can help the product manager to function in his role. Needless to say, regardless of whoever the complementary roles are or wherever, the product manager has to manage a wide set of roles on a regular basis to be able to get the work done. So, what have we learned right now? We have learned what product management is all about as a discipline. We understood that this is a discipline which is very vast, but essentially constitutes of usability, feasibility, and viability. It is a field which actually creates services and products of value that have a revenue value in the long run and the short run. It's also very, very customer centric. We understand now that it is critical because the type of product that we produce is basically critical to the sustainable success of any organization. Yes, marketing, sales, etc. is important, but it all boils down to how uh, real the product really is in the market and how what conscious unconscious pain points is actually taking, whether it's a vitamin pill or it's a genuine pain pill. We also understood that the product manager's role encompasses the business, the business goals, the UX, and the technology aspect of it. The intersectionality of it is where the product manager comes in. The product manager also has very many complementary roles that might aid and abet him depending upon the organization that he is working for. We understand now also that the product manager can change his task whether he's interacting with a B2B or a B2C, internal, external, or the type of organization that or the industry that he's working in. It also depends upon the team structure and the size. Let us now go to the next slides where we discuss the stages of product management. The product management stages is something that spans right from strategic planning to testing, metrics, etc. But at no given point in time are they sequential and nonlinear as shown in this model. So, from the plan to define and validate stage to the build, market, sell, retain, support, and measure stage, it can change as to what loops are being created. So, the loops could be something like this, or something like this, or something like this. These loops are vital because they impact our assumptions and help us to create more dynamic, creative, innovative products. We also understand that these loops help us to understand when they can actually be pivoting and how we can actually optimize each of these functions so that the product that we have in our hand is actually a viable product. So we understand that these stages of product management vary again from industry to industry and market to market. Let us now understand what are the basic stages of product management. When we talk about the basic stages of product management, we talk about the planning stage first. When we talk about the planning stage, this is not the Gantt chart kind of planning stages where scheduling Gantt charts are important. No, we're talking about having very highly strategic visions and goals. That helps us to have a business model canvas. That will also allow us to have the right marketing research, portfolio, and competitive analysis that can take place in this very segment of product development. Next, we come to the define and the validation stage. In the define and validation stage, we have customer research, segmentation, persona, forecast, model, MVP, and lean testing. We will be discussing MVP and lean little later on. Right now, I would like to discuss personas. So, what are personas? Personas are actually people or a kind of a customer type that has been built according to demographics, preferences, and pain points that are representative of the entire such population. So, any one persona represents a whole set of people with similar tastes, ideas, background, and demographics. This helps us to create the right product fit for the customers who are involved. Let us now understand what lean product management is. To understand lean product management, we have to understand a few models, and we will go into that as we progress into the program. Let us first understand what exactly does lean mean. So lean product development is a process for building products faster with less waste. It improves upon traditional product development processes by eliminating the communication silos that typically separate all the departments. So, when we talk about lean, we understand that this is actually a place where time and resource wastages have been reduced. There's a need for a product which is dynamic. There's rapid innovation which is happening at affordable prices, and it achieves the right product fit or the market fit for the concerned consumers or the customers. So, the essential principles of lean are so it helps in eliminating waste, it builds quality, it creates knowledge, it defers commitment. Why defers commitment? As we spoke about earlier in the development stages, that every time an iteration process is happening or a loop is happening, the commitment to put out the product gets deferred. Okay, so then there's a faster delivery, and there's respect for people, and there's an optimization of the whole. These are the lean product principles under which a lot of organizations are beginning to function and finding value with. We also have level production, continuous improvement, efficiency through a customer first approach, total productive maintenance, streamlining processes, develop error proof process, and focus on quality and one pace flow. So we understand this that these are the lean product management principles. Let us now understand a little more about this. To understand this, we have to first understand the product life cycle. As discussed before, the product life cycle is very important for the product manager to understand when to pivot to a new business model. But what is the product life cycle? It has the life cycle of a product from introduction to growth to maturity and the decline phases. Okay? And in this figure, we can see all the four stages which are represented over here. Today we will discuss this product life cycle with respect to something which is called the three horizons of innovation. Okay? So we understand that the product life cycle has got four stages. We also understand that it's a part of lean principles, right? So these are what we called the lean ambidextrous organization. If we go back to the product life cycle, we will see that products are moving from growth to maturity to decline. What lean ambidextrous organizations attempt to do is that they want to keep on to the mature products. As you will see in this graph, there are three kinds of products: mature, rapidly growing, and emerging. More and more organizations want to become ambidextrous, which is to say, to be able to use both hands. In this case, it means to be able to use both ends of the spectrum of mature to emerging. So the mature products which require spreadsheet and process based talent, that has to be one set that has to be looked after. And the other products that have to be husbanded very, very closely is the emerging sector in Horizon 3, wherein we attract new entrepreneurial talent to be able to create dynamic products or to develop upon existing traditional products to make it even better. And this is what lean ambidextrous organizations are hoping to do. And this is what we call the three horizons of innovation, wherein organizations are increasingly wanting to have the best of both worlds by not just sticking to mature products, but also into entering emerging products by testing and lean testing methods and to be able to get the right product market fit. Let us now understand this a little further. We spoke about product market fit. And what is that? Lean product market fit happens when we have the right fit between the market and the product. Let us understand this with the help of this diagram right here. So we have target customers in the market and we have underserved needs. These could be conscious or unconscious pain points. These could also be traditional products that need some development as time has passed by. Then in the product segment, we have the value based proposition and the feature set and the user experience. The distance between these two sets, which is the product and the market set, is where the product market gap usually exists. This product market gap has to be continuously closed through various testing measures to be able to achieve the product market fit that we see over here. So, what we do in the first state is to decide who the target customers are, and then we identify the underserved needs or the unconscious or the conscious pain points that have not been looked into. Thereafter, the value based propositions are created and feature sets are established. So, then over here we specify the MVP or the minimum viable products or the product, and thereafter we keep the minimum viable prototype. What is a minimum viable product? The MVP is actually referring to the minimum amount of value that the customer first needs, and it's actually making it a real product by addressing a pain point or an underserved need. This process, when it is created and done over and over again, the distance between the market and the product reduces, the value based proposition and underserved needs closes its gap, and the correct product market fit is then achieved. So, this is what we call the product market fit. And the lean product market management actually hopes to close this gap sooner with less waste, less time, and more of innovation involved over here. So, what have we learned right now? What we have learned is that we have lean products. What is lean principles? Lean principles aim at reducing wastage, aim at increasing the kind of innovations that we have. It also aims at having more affordable prices and rapid innovation happening. For this, we need to understand how product life cycle works. What are the four stages of product life cycle? We also need to understand the three horizons of products as to why organizations are turning into lean ambidextrous organizations, hoping to maximize the mature markets or the mature products, but also hoping to go into the emergent sections of product and creating new innovations over and above existing ones or entirely new ones to be able to get the best revenue or the best product for the customers outside. And therefore, then we come to the right product market fit. Lean product management also helps us in creating the right product market fit by having a continuous iteration process between the market and the product through various testing tools and verifications and validations so that the product market fit gap actually closes down and the value based proposition and the underserved needs have no gap in between. So now we understand this is what lean product management means. What is the diagram around this? So we have a diagram over here which talks about the build, measure, and learn. So every principle of lean product can be mapped into this in the circular table right over here, wherein we have the idea that we build upon and we create a product that we measure and then go back to the learning process. What this helps us do is to prioritize critical assumptions, understand customers, get a viable product or sometimes just a MVP, and adjust the direction basis the evidence that we have. So, this, in a very, very brief, is what lean product management is all about. And why is it considered to be something that we can actually like or prefer over traditional is very, very simply explained in this graph right here. So, if you see this graph, we have at one axis the risk and one axis the time. And in traditional ways of product management, one major release would be done after a long period of time. This would also mean that there would be a higher risk of failure. There would also be more of time wastages. It would also mean that the opportunity cost would be higher in that case. It could also mean that we would be heading in the wrong direction for a longer period of time without any understanding of it, and there would be silos in between. To understand this concept, please do refer to the earlier programs on delivery management that we did earlier this month. And that program will elucidate to you how and what the Agile Scrum is and how they function between the waterfall and the lean methods. So over here, as we can see in this figure, we have lean methods wherein the testing is being done in a short over short durations of time, and many small releases are being made, so that the cost of producing something, or the time wastage involved, or the iterations are more precise, and we achieve the customer right product market fit without too much of a time lag or opportunity cost that we have actually going. So this is the biggest logic, so to speak, for why we don't prefer waterfall methods as compared to lean. Waterfall is what we call the traditional methods. And finally, the outcome versus the output. So the output is describes the result of an activity a company carries out, which may or may not have a measurable impact. However, an outcome is the actual added value that results at the end of a target group. So, as we understand it, the traditional methods of doing were more output oriented, whereas the lean methods are more outcome oriented. Again, if you want to understand plan based and value based delivery, you can also find it in the earlier program conducted for delivery management. And now we will summarize the entire thing again. So we understand now that lean management is something that helps to eliminate cost and maximize productivity and has rapid innovation as its hallmark. We also understand now that the PLC is very important to it, and that the product market fit is increasingly achieved by iterating the process over and over again, so that the gap between the market and the product is increasingly closed down, and the gap between the value that we're providing and the anticipated or the unanticipated needs have closed down. Basically, what we are saying is that the minimum viable product should be brought out at short intervals of time, so that the stacking of the value of the product can keep happening in a systematic manner and not have a lot of opportunity, time, and risk involved in the whole process. We also understand that the lean methods are now increasingly preferred over traditional methods or the waterfall methods. And like we said before, a lot of these things are also have been explained in the delivery management program earlier. We also now understand that outcome versus output is an important criteria when we understand lean versus traditional, whereas output is only emphasizing the result of an activity without any value focus, and therefore is the outcome of a traditional method of management, product management, and product development, whereas the outcome orientation that actually happens after a value based focus is the output, and that comes from lean methods. So this is what we understand about product development and product stages, and the product of role, product manager's role, the criticality of it, and what it is in a nutshell. I hope that this session has been very useful for you in a brief manner. This is, of course, not a very vast session, but in its very brief format, we have tried to encapsulate all of the basic concepts that are actually vital for any beginner to start to understand this. Okay. One of the main concepts also that we understand in lean is called the ABV, which is a addition upon the ABC model, which is also called the always be validated model. So these are the few tools that we understand are being used to understand how lean product development is working, right? I hope that this session will be useful to you. Please do not forget to drop your comments into the section below, and I do hope to hear from more of you. And in the next program, we will be covering more and more of such topics. Stay tuned for more such. Have a nice day. Thank you for having me over.